Here we are with another episode of Talking Sports with the Legend. Tonight's guest, Kristen Smedley.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
And the crowd goes wild.
Say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Where were you born and raised?
Where was I born and raised? In Philly and in Bucks County. I was born in Philly, then moved up to Bucks County, but I still say Philly. I'm a Philly girl.
What age did you start playing sports?
You know, Steve, I'm a little up there in years. I don't say old because I don't feel old, but I was, I guess, 8 years old when I discovered soccer. Now, everybody knows soccer now, right? But way back in the 70s, no one had really heard of soccer, let alone a girl playing. But I discovered it and fell madly in love with it by about 10 years old. And to this day, I still kick the ball around every week.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to Bishop Conwell in Levittown, that now is Conwell Egan.
Did they have a soccer team? Did they have a soccer team? Did they have a soccer team?
Did they have a soccer team?
They sure did. Do you know what's funny? I always give side stories, so you have to tell me if I have too many side stories. But my soccer teammates from Bishop Conwell, we still get together and we are in a group text where we help each other with all kinds of things that life has thrown at us. But we still get together for a game once a year. And usually for dinner is a little safer these days than being on the soccer field. We do get together a lot.
That's awesome. How did your team do in when you were there?
We were amazing, of course. No, I'm just kidding. We did pretty well. We had a big grudge match. I don't know that they do it anymore, but we had a big grudge match every year with Villa Joseph Marie High School, because all the feeder schools, you either went to Conwell or Villa. So we would have a big grudge match. And I will say that I think my junior year, we ended their 40 game winning streak or whatever it was. We beat them in the third overtime, 1-0. They probably destroyed us every other year, but I'm just going to hang on to that glory story.
Did you guys play like Archbishop Ryan? Did they have teams yet?
Yeah, it was all the Region 19 is what it was back then. I don't know if they've changed it since, but oh my gosh, we played Ryan, Hubert's. My mom went to Hubert's and she would just start singing their fight song on the day of the game. It drove me out of my mind. Wood, we played Archbishop. Actually, Archbishop Wood, one of the girls I couldn't stand, I was offense, she was defense, and we would go at it during those games. We played together at Westchester University. Isn't that funny? And became best of friends.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. I got friendly with a lot of guys. Did you play any other sports in high school?
I was also a lifelong softball player. Those are the two big ones. And then I did get recruited for basketball. And I got to tell you, after what I could do in soccer and softball, the basketball coaches were stunned that I was so horrible. I am terrible at basketball, and they could not believe that I was that uncoordinated after watching me on the other field. So my basketball career was a little short.
You already told everybody, but next question was, where did you go to college, and did you get a scholarship to go?
I didn't. And actually, it's an interesting conversation I'm having with my daughter now, who's getting ready to go to college and be recruited for basketball of all things. Clearly, she didn't get that gene from anywhere in my gene pool. Back then, I went to college in 1989. I graduated high school. And that was in the days of the Title IX coming about and all, because they did not have endorsed soccer by the university at Westchester. We were a club team that fought to get recognized. And I cannot take any of the credit for the fact that we did get recognized. I guess by my sophomore year, I was one of those that had to take a full load of credits and work full time to be able to even be in those seats on campus, let alone play soccer. But there were girls on my team that fought like women were across the country fighting for recognition and funding, and even just to get vans to go to games. It was a very interesting time. I highly recommend that your listeners go look up the stories, especially of the women's national team. They led a charge for that, for soccer. But it was definitely very different back then. There's a lot of opportunity now that we didn't have then.
What was your major?
My major in college was actually I started as a math and secondary ed major, and then I moved to elementary education because I knew I wanted to be a teacher my whole life, which sounds a little weird. I don't know if other people are like that, but probably from the time I was 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be a teacher.
What was your first job?
My first job was teaching. How about that? Right out of college, I taught at the Lower Bucks YMCA kindergarten in Richmond, and then moved up through. I moved around the country a little bit and taught in several different states.
That's awesome. Were you always like kindergarten and first grade and stuff, or did you do other grades?
Elementary was always first and third. I actually had always wanted to teach second grade, and then I landed in this third grade in Kansas City. That was the hardest job ever. They had zero resources. It just was, and it was a town that was really struggling. But it ended up to be one of the greatest things that I had ever had the opportunity to do in my life. But boy, was I tired at the end. I was very tired at the end of that year.
That's awesome.
What are you doing now?
Oh boy, Steve, how much time do you have? I say that I had to walk away from teaching. I started a nonprofit for research for a very rare blindness, to cure blindness, and then also advocate for resources for the blind community, because 21 years ago, I say I wanted my whole life to be a teacher, but my biggest dream of my life was to be a mom. And when I became a mom 21 years ago, I never in my wildest dreams would have expected a doctor to tell me that my baby was blind. And Michael, my first son, he was the first blind person I had ever met. I had no idea how to raise a blind child. So now, all these years later, I actually, behind me is the cover of my book, Thriving Blind, that I wrote. And I have an organization where I teach families how to raise blind children with the help of all the friends that I have met along the way. So, I say a lot of times in my bio and when I'm introduced places, they say that I had to walk away from teaching, but I walked into an opportunity to teach, hundreds of thousands of people all around the world about opportunities that do exist with blindness. So it hasn't been the easiest journey, as you can imagine, but it has been the most brilliant ride ever.
What's the name of the organization for everybody out there so they can donate?
So my research organization is Curing Retinal Blindness Foundation. It's crb1.org. That's the genetic condition that my boys and thousands of other kids have. And then thrivingblind.com is where, if you wanted to find out about Braille and getting Braille books to kids and helping families come into my mentorship to learn how to raise blind kids, that's the second organization.
That's great, man. That's really awesome. I've met some people in my day and am always amazed by the fact that, Stephen was born in North Philadelphia in Kensington, and the street we lived on, there was a blind man, and his wife was totally blind, and he turned totally blind towards the end of his life. But he had children, and all his children were sight children. So wow. It was the opposite. And I wondered often who taught them how to help, because the husband had sight, but it wasn't great, it wasn't nowhere, nothing to be, look, he couldn't see that well, but he could see close up. So the wife used to go to work every day, and I was amazed. And I started talking to different people on the street, and they say, yeah, there's some people that they count their steps to the corner, and then, you know, the first time, and then after that, it's, you know, they memorize it, and it's like, gosh almighty, I never thought, you know, so, you know, it's amazing. And then that's really cool that you're helping parents to do that. That's really super cool.
Well, you know, it's interesting because one of my good friends that works with me in this helping parents, he's totally blind and so is his wife, but he has sighted kids. And it's the same as my boys. Like, it's hard for us to get our heads around how a blind person does stuff. But to them, like, my boys think it's hilarious that people think it's amazing that they do things because their whole lives they've been like that. They're like, wow, it's amazing that sighted people, you know, can actually not be distracted is their thing all the time. They think that we all are like distracted all over the place. But to them, it's just like us learning how to walk, learning how to read. They just do it in a little different manner. And it's not a big deal to them at all. But that took me a long time to get my head around that, as you can imagine.
Wow. So the book, how long ago did you get it published?
So I actually self-published it in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, because I wanted to see where the problems were in the publishing industry with getting Braille, because my boys could not get Braille, you know, like all the goofy books in elementary school now, like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Goosebumps and all those series, they could not get them in Braille. So I wanted to find out where the hangups were before I went and fought with people on making it happen. And there are some interesting roadblocks to getting accessible copies. But so that's why I published it myself. But it hit, I had never, look, I have English teachers all over Bucks County that I was in their classrooms that need oxygen over the fact that I stopped talking long enough to actually write a book. I never would have thought I would have put a book together. And then it hit #1 new release on Amazon. And it was like a #2 bestseller. I was just looking just last week, it was something like 50 copies were sold because schools are now getting them in groups of parents. But
So
that was
needless to say, it does come in Braille.
It does. Actually, the CEO of T-Mobile did a contest on Twitter, said that he had $1,500. Who should he give it to? And it was like thousands and thousands of people answered his tweet. And I did a quick little video. I had my Eagles hat on and I did a quick little video about how expensive it is to make a Braille book. And I needed that $1,500 for the program for the National Braille Association to make it. And I won that funding. He funded it. And now we have electronic Braille. Anyone that wants to get it can get it for the same price as Kindle. They don't have to pay the extra 50 or whatever dollars that it is.
That's awesome. It
was fun. It was a good use of social media that day.
Oh, that's why you got to go on. And that's why this guy, he has, tell her, Steve, you got everything, right? Instagram, right?
You're all over Instagram, Steve. I see you on there.
So any chance of your book becoming a movie or anything?
Well, we are going into, we're in production talks for, and you're going to see a big GoFundMe crowdfunding campaign coming out for Michael's. It's actually my oldest son, his first baseball season. He played regular baseball in Bucks County, him and my son, my other blind son, Mitchell, his younger brother. And they won the championship in a regular sighted league. And I always say they were the bad news bears. I mean, they were horrible in the beginning and happened to get into the playoffs because of some of the league rules, and then started winning and then won the championship in extra innings against the first place undefeated team. I mean, it was like a movie was written for me right there. Right. But the beauty of it, and I actually just sent the clips to the producer that is creating the trailer for this big crowdfunding to get it underway into production. But I rewatched the championship game and relived all the moments of, I was so nervous walking into that baseball registration with my blind son, and then and I knew that there was some, not attitudes from parents, but they were nervous and they didn't understand how this was going to work. And then by the end, the parents were thanking me for giving their sons the opportunity to get to know my Michael and to be changed by him. He changed all of their perceptions of blindness, disability, impossibility. It was really cool. And I've said ever since it happened that it's a story that needs to be out in the world. And I think right now the world is ready. They're ready for a different perspective. And this is the story. So you'll be seeing that coming soon. I'm gonna be knocking on your Instagram door, Steve, to help me get the word out for it.
Absolutely. Tell her on it. His YouTube page. What's your most followers? Facebook?
Facebook is where our community. Oh, on yours. I'm sorry.
Yeah, his biggest thing's probably Facebook. So he's got we counted. What was it, like 3 years ago? He had 200 this, 200 that. Now how many up to?
I don't even know.
You got to write it down, man. You put it on your podcast. Yeah.
So your Facebook following is bigger than your Instagram?
I think it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have a really good reach.
Yeah, he does. He got.
You're consistent. You're very consistent, which is what I noticed, and that's what's important on social media.
And I tell him he's an inspiration to kids, that have disabilities. That just to tell everybody, you don't have to look like a supermodel to be out there. If you got something to say, you can say it anytime you want to say it, no matter what you look like and what you talk like. And if you can't hear or you can't see, that's another one that my mother had hearing problems, and he just got his own hearing aids. He can't wear them during interviews because the first time we tried it, his Bluetooth was picking it up because it's all done by Bluetooth now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we couldn't figure it out. And then I said, I think I figured it out, and that was it. Yeah. So, but he can hear real well with this new computer we got with the new camera, and we can hear it's extremely loud, right, Steve?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I can tell that you're having so much success on social media and getting your message out there because you really have a service base. Like you are, that's why I love to read your posts, because it really is about serving other people and making the world better. And I believe that that's where all success stems from. When you're in service to the world, success follows.
What do you say to that?
Thank you.
That's awesome. So we got to interview your sons and your daughter one of these days for the YouTube page, right, Steve?
Oh, that'll be awesome. They'll love it. And my daughter just left field hockey to go back to soccer. She has all kinds of sports conversations.
So she's going to be a senior this year coming up?
She's going to be a junior at South, Council Rock South.
Awesome. All right. So there we go, Steve. Junior, we got to line it up for the fall, either the fall or the end of August.
Yeah.
After she's done training.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, we can't wait. Well, thank you very much for your time out of your busy schedule.
Oh, thank you guys. And thanks for what you're doing in the world. I absolutely love it and appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. That was awesome.